Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, light warriors, old souls, and evolving beings. Well, 2024 is an infinity year, the great, wonderful renewal. So I want to propose a question to you. Death is no longer an option, it's off the table. So now what are you going to do with the rest of your life? For those who have listened to me from the beginning, you realize that I have always said that I would be walking off this planet. Some know that the projected timeline was around 2027, maybe later into 2030, and maybe earlier. But I have tried to keep this channel as much about psychological and self help development, and careful to say and bring up too much on the galactic immortal end because many people were not ready to hear. So, as usual, I'm ripping off the band aid, I'm pushing the boundaries, and I'm doing everything I can, yes, in the human body, humanly possible to do at this moment to help you expand your mind. I can't repeat enough that so many codes were downloaded on February 22nd, 2022. And that by July of this year, so many of the new medical healing codes were brought into this universe. These healing codes are accessible to everybody now. You don't necessarily need a special key. You don't need anything other than believing, which I'd rather say knowing, because there are so many lyings out there right now. Know in your heart that there is way more possible to our physical beings than we have ever admitted. If you go back to the early 2000s, I started talking about the fact that there is no junk DNA. Every little piece of our DNA plays a role. But we had to get to a collective level for some to have those activated. So you are now going to specifically say to your body, to your being, to your soul that you have and are activating all of your DNA. Admit there is no junk DNA. Make sure that you go back and listen to my video on There's No Junk DNA, and go back and listen to my video on how using medicine and pharmaceuticals is counterproductive to your ascension. We are ascending, whether you like it or not. You can choose to say, well, now I'm 90 years old and therefore my life is pretty much at the end. Or you may be 40 years old and feel that way. You have the absolute option to believe that death is your destiny and that is how you're going to live out your life and move on. But as all these DNA codes are activated, and as we see the superhumans being developed within through our energetic fields, you will find out that death doesn't have to be an option in higher dimensions. Now, in the course that I taught at Ascension Academy, I did talk about the fact that we're multidimensional beings and that there is a portion of this world that is the holographic universe. So truly understanding what happens between the first and the 12th dimensions helps, and understanding that after you get up and over the false inlaid matrix that happened at the 12.5 dimension to come in and save one set of humanity, and the higher dimensions above that, 14 and above, you will find out that people are operating in different realms. So, how have all these miraculous healings happened for the people that I've worked with? Because I'm pulling the information from the higher dimensions. But they are the ones who are agreeing to it. They are the ones who have cut off the old ties, the soul contracts that needed revising. So yes, I was able to show the way, or simply in a sense, perform it. Why? Because my understanding doesn't need the technical explanations that people feel like they need. It can be so much easier than you allow yourself. I do not care what the illness is, and I will be doing some videos coming up on this. Everything, 100% of all illnesses, whether they're psychological, whether they're physical, any type of DIS, disease, anything, can find a way to be cured 100%. You know, I cured myself of Crohn's disease after bleeding from my bowels for 18 years. That was a type 2 diabetic. Cured myself of that. Had a really bad sprained ankle. Cured myself of that. Had a bunch of burns. Never one thing surfaced. Eventually, because the coding is here, you can do things you never believed that you could do. So my biggest request to you in this 2024, which adds up to 8, infinity year, is choose your timeline carefully. Every day, say to yourself, wow, death is off the table. I'm not going to die. Holy crap. What does that mean? Are you really going to sit with those people in your life and just wait until you die? Because they were your family members? Or because they were your friends from high school, elementary school, the day you were born? I don't know. Are they filling you with love and excitement and joy? Are they helping you reach your highest vibration? Or are you just hanging out on the bar stool? Because that's what you've always done. It's time to get up and get moving. Even if you are the weakest individual with so many illnesses that you have allowed in your circle, you can let them go now, and so much easier. Since March of last year, I've been showing people how easy you can heal, how easy you can jump over boundaries. And those who came in and did sessions, the funny thing is, for a couple of the sessions, what they thought they wanted as a result ended up being the smallest thing, because what they've now achieved is so far beyond that. It's extraordinary, extra, beyond human. Why? Because they're working with all their different dimensions. You don't always have to understand exactly who your star team is. You don't always have to understand how exactly the healing is happening, but you have to know in your heart that these things are happening around you, and that you are just as special. If your soul contract has made you have a physical illness, or even a psychological illness, or even an addiction, upgrade it. You are no longer tied to these old issues. The collective has opened up so much. Now, you're not going to hear that on many, many channels. You know why? Because their plan is to have 2024 as a total destruction. I don't know if you're familiar with the term ouroboros, but it is the snake biting its tail. It is the sign of death, which brings us into rebirth. If you hang out and listen to all of these, again, I'm going to say it, truth or non-truthers, all the individuals who, all these horrible things are going to happen. And that's where you hang your timeline. Or worse yet, you don't actively work on a beautiful, wonderful, incredible, evolving timeline, then you are just saying, okay, randomly, come. Randomly, okay, I'll just go with the timeline they're all telling us. No friggin' way. Not in my world. I don't care. I have come too far. We have come too far. The collective already surpassed those doom and gloom stories. Are there some starseeds, wonders, individuals who were here at this point to hold enough light to help all of this evolve and happen? Yes. Could they potentially disappear from your sight? We're talking about the light warrior ones. They could. Because yes, there is some movement that is happening at this point in the evolution of the Earth planet, that some are finishing up their cycle, or many, many, many cycles, and gloriously get to move forward. But this does not mean by any means that you sit there and you say, oh, I'm a starseed. I'm an enlightened one. Oh my, I'm a light worker. Therefore, I am sitting here waiting for the solar flash and my star team is going to come pick me up. There are going to be a lot of hard lessons if somebody is telling you that. And as much as I love their enthusiasm and the beauty of being able to tell you day after day after day that that's going to happen, you, in creating your timeline, may know that that could happen, but what are you going to do today? What are you going to do in your now moment? What are you waiting for? Because I want you to think of this. This may be your very last incarnation on Earth. And in the higher dimensions, many of the things that you can feel and know and reverberate with here don't exist in those dimensions. So, it's the last few years of your life on planet Earth. What are the things that would bring you the most joy? What could you do for others to help them wake up? How can you live it in pure health and bliss? And what are the things that you've always wanted to do that you haven't been able to do before? Now, although our bodies have come so extraordinarily far for those of us who have pushed them, and we are youthing, we are regenerating. And as some of you know, of the 144, genes, 144 DNA strands, for those who have them connected, that's fantastic. But just because they're connected doesn't mean you know how to use them yet, right? So, I am not advising anybody to step off of a cliff and jump without any help. But what I am saying is, it is more than perfect to imagine, to open up further and further, to really visualize yourself in your completely healed body. Visualize yourself as you would look as an angelic. Visualize yourself as you would be with no restraints. But don't stop enjoying the little moments. Touching a blade of grass, watching the sun change, seeing things that you've never seen before because you never took the time, because all you were doing was setting a schedule, running by a timer, and trying to prove something to somebody who really can't get outside of themselves enough to love you for who you are. So in this year, anything and everything that you can do to rip off the boundaries that you have set around yourself, and to know that others already have done that. You want to work on that. You owe it to yourself to absolutely pull in the highest and best. And the highest and best, as I always say, is not going to come on some political move or some religious belief where you give your power away, or with somebody coming and doing it for you. This comes from you doing the work yourself. You've most likely been through the dark night of the soul. You most likely have started to realize that Big Pharma really can go down the drain happily because nobody ever really died from the illnesses. They're dying from what is being given to them. Understand that absolutely every biological illness can be healed 100%. The healing codes have already been brought down. Now the question is, how do we get people to realize that, and how do we get them to use that? Which of course I am working on, as many others are. But in the meantime, it means you, each and every one of you, opening your minds to this possibility, setting it on your plate, on your agenda. This is what in 2024 I'm healed. That there's just no question. Kiesha, a Palladian word, I'm healed. We have so much help coming in that every bit of your positive thinking, pulling in the highest and best, breaking through all the boundaries, anything that you have done to limit yourself or your belief or put your 100% trust in what the gurus are telling you needs to be let go of. So, this is why all of those hours searching and waiting for the events are only hours that you are losing at recreating your future. Pieces are set up for you, very galactically placed for you to be able to pick up and see. You will not find those if you are buried in the doom and gloom of what is being shown to you. Because how can the Matrix trap you? One way and one way only. You feed into it. Go back and listen to my video on Lush. Go back and listen to the videos that show you that you have to save yourself. That is not narcissism. This is the most astronomically phenomenal time to be alive. And when you push beyond and break through all of those boundaries and start looking at life from the angelic view, the one of love, the one of compassion, the one of forgiveness, the one where you heal every broken piece of yourself, you set your boundaries no longer to be walked over, but you love those anyways. Every time you drop one of the games that you were supposed to have played to make people around you happy, not saying ever be mean, I'm just saying don't engage. Every time you go and don't play the game of manipulation and lies and some of the stuff that's just going on, how masses of money are coming in to certain people who are continuing just to tell you lie after lie after lie. You are feeding that system. Break off. I know every one of you here are going to have superhuman abilities. They're actually already here. We just don't totally know how to use them yet. So remember, everything now is open. Because I had worked with the kids with cancer and did all that hospice and death and dying work, I had always made it a practice to live every day to the best of your ability, because you never know how many of them you have. But this year I'm proposing to you, which actually I have been from early 2000, what would your life look like if death was off the table? All right, if you've enjoyed this, make sure you hit subscribe. I need to get those subscribers in for some of the other work that I'm doing as far as trying to provide the courses. I'm trying so hard not to charge. And also make sure you hit like. And most importantly, may this be the best 365 days of your year. No matter what you see going on in the world, don't fall for it. They're starting heavy this year. Even some of the beloved, very intuitive beings are pushing a doom narrative. It's just not that way. It doesn't have to be that way. If you choose that timeline, that's your choice. But like I said, don't let it randomly choose you. Have a beautiful, glorious day. Love you.